pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the January 13th, 2025 Board of Education consent agenda. Is there further discussion?
Okay, Foot,
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
and Goodman. Yes.
Do we have any
Motion.
patron input?
Katie.
Oh,
No, Katie?
none. Okay, 4.0, discussion, 4.1, teaching and learning presentation.
Several things under tonight's teaching and learning. First off, and then we'll have Leslie come up, but this month is National School Board Appreciation Month. And so you have a small token of our appreciation to everyone that serves our community. Working alongside you guys, and I know you put in a lot of time and dedication and efforts. Thank you. For no pay, but
Occasional meal.
yeah, thank you. But you guys are committed to this community. I see it, the public gets to see it here, but they also see you in the community. You're all very involved and attend many of our school activities, but I do appreciate, as a school superintendent, working with 7 patrons of the community that are all about Louisburg Wildcats. So I do thank you for that. And as another small token, Leslie Jenkins, who teaches FACS at the high school, her and her students, her culinary apps program, cooked the meal tonight, prepared it. So do you want to say anything, Leslie?
Yeah,
Come on up.
okay. And I wanted
Oh,
to show
right
off
now.
a little bit of my
Yes,
students, so I
please.
brought you guys some pictures. Thank you guys for everything you do for the school. This is my second year here, and I'm really happy to be here at Louisburg. So just wanted to tell you a little bit about my program. So I have 3 different levels of classes. Culinary Essentials is the first level, and then Culinary Arts is a year-long class, and Culinary Applications, which is what the students that made the meals were for. One big event that we do is this Thanksgiving Senior Citizen Dinner. So I just put some pictures there. So we have that, and the next slide has all the students that help. So a lot of students from all my classes will help for that. And then we can just click through those, and I'll just tell you some things. The National Honor Society induction, we did dessert and punch for, and then the Supreme Court case this year. Those were on back-to-back days. So my students were really busy making cookies that week. We were cookied out, but those events went really well. So this culinary application students will make food for the events like that. And then they also make homemade pasta, and we made ricotta cheese to make the filling for the tortellini, and we practiced some other shapes of pasta. So that is something pretty fun for them to do. We also make homemade pizza with the sauce and crust and everything. Lots of cookies there. So maybe next time we'll bring you guys some cookies. Not a little more today, but. And then one of the fun projects we do for Halloween is the Nailed It. If you've ever watched that Netflix show, so gave them pictures of different Halloween treats that they can make. So those are a couple there. Some scones and whoopie pies. Then a favorite competition my first level class does is grilled cheese competition. So they are tasked with creating a unique grilled cheese sandwich, and it has to have like a couple different food groups other than dairy and like a sauce on it. And then they have to create a poster with a description. And then I post them on the Instagram facts page, and they vote for their favorite. So that was the winning one, California Melt. And then the next slide is another competition that second level class makes, and that is Cupcake Wars. So we do that before finals, and they have to do like a winter related theme, and they make the cupcake from scratch. And I don't have a picture, but they also write a description of the cupcakes too. And then I think I just got one more picture. We decorated sugar cookies too. So a couple other things that the students do in those classes are we did staff breakfast one week for it. So the students came in like 6:30, and I was a little bit nervous that they weren't gonna make it. They all showed up on time. There might have been a little threat of losing points, but they made it, made a great breakfast. Come to events like this, so they're tasked with making food for other people, and we talk about the portion sizes needing to be the same, needing to make it consistent every time we make it. If one group makes a cookie, the other group makes the same cookies, they should look the same, and talk about like product waste and everything. So those are some things that we do. We do a food plating, so they took a Twinkie and plated up to look nice and fancy, and had a little competition to that too. So the students really love that. We've also made a bunch of ice cream. So we got new ice cream makers, and we made a lot for concession stand and bake sale. So we made cookies for that. And then this year, you guys got us new fridges and freezers. So that has been really, really helpful. Last year, we just had your standard fridge and freezer that everybody has in their home, and it just got full really fast and didn't allow us to hold as much food if we needed to. So those have been really helpful for staff meals, for conferences when we did food there. And then right now we're doing wrestling meals. So for away games, we will make meals for them. So we have extra ingredients in the fridge and all of those packaged up for them to pick them up. So that has been really helpful to have that space, and appreciate that. So, and then I do 2 different certificates that the students can earn in my classes. The first one is Serve Safe Food Handlers. That's basically an easier version of, we do 2 different ones. That's the easier version. This one like takes a couple of weeks of learning. So I had 30 students, all 30 students that took that test passed. They can take this if they go to work at any food service restaurant and say, I'm already trained, I already know about food safety, I know about temperatures, and I know what to do if something goes wrong. So they can take that and say, I already have this training, will you give me more money? You don't have to train me in this. And that certificate, I think, is good for 2 years, if I'm right. And then my 3rd level class, which the guys there that made the food are in, we took the food manager, Serve Safe Food Manager test. That is like a college level, professional level test. And I had 17 students take that and pass that. So that was very impressive, very exciting. So they can actually go be a manager at a food service restaurant. And they turn 18 if they're not already yet. And that's good for 5 years. So that's something that I've been happy to be allowed to give those students that opportunity to. So thank you guys for that as well, because I couldn't be able to give that without them, because it does cost money to give those tests and give them those certifications. So I'm really proud of the students for being able to do that and hold those certifications. Yeah. Well, I have to share. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Well, just on the room too, she mentioned the refrigerators. Of course, most of our CTE teachers came and visited with the board last year. We also, over the summer, now she has all hard floors in her room, so could do mobile kitchens. And we're getting the stainless steel tables on casters, but they've come in several times, damaged, missing, and so that's eventually coming their way as well. So,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Jenkins, I think you're very happy with your room? Or,
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
So we
It's been great.
put some, good resources into that room.
Yep.
Boys, we said you didn't have to talk, but do you want to say anything?
It's a fun class.
Get fed, so that keeps them involved, right?
Free food, yeah.
Yeah. Anytime we make something new, I'm like, this is a perfect place to try a new food, you know, like, you didn't pay for it, and you prepared it, and you never know what you're gonna like, so, yeah. It's been pretty
Great,
cool.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you for getting for dinner.
All right, you want me to leave that, and I'll just
We'll get it
get
to
it,
you.
okay, perfect, thank you
Thank
guys.
Thank
And
you.
Can you walk your
Thanks,
teacher out? Several other things under teaching and learning, some more shout outs. One, the board did accept Mr. Morgan's resignation last month. But he is going to, Doug Shane contacted Jim and I. Doug, of course, going to be a new Kansas senator, and he would like to do a Senate tribute. Mr. Happel was a part of those back in the day. So on January 30th, I think that's a Thursday. So if any of you do want to attend, just let me know. Jim is aware of it, has sent me some things to share with Doug Shane. But, so if anyone wants to go on that day, just let me know and you can drive over there with me. But January 30th, you know, we will be recognizing Jim on the Senate floor unless something changes from their end or inclement weather, which let's hope not. So that's a great tribute to his long, stellar career. Today, Commissioner Watson, KSDE Commissioner of Ed, surprised Tara Mulcahy at Broadmoor as a Horizon Award winner. And so last year Larry Gazaway was the Horizon Award winner. And so Mrs. Norberg back there couldn't hardly keep her excitement. Yeah. But so Tara was just blown away. That's a surprise call, and her parents and family were there as well. She now is part of what's called KEEN. Kendall's a part of that too, being a finalist for Teacher of the Year. Kansas Exemplary Education Network, Educators Network. So there'll be a conference coming up, and she's forever in that as well. So just really good professional development. Tara was super excited. So there's only 32 of those, 16 elementary and 16 secondary selected every year. So
Across the whole state.
across the entire state, as Mr. Watson said, out of 50,000 teachers. So that's always great that 416 can continue to have one. So we nominate an elementary and middle school one every year. And just a reminder, to be a Horizon, you finished your first year, so they're in their second year. So Tara was a first year teacher last year, second year, that's how year. So it's kind of like a Teacher of Promise award. So we've had quite a few, and that's always exciting. And then, not as exciting, but just inclement weather, since just want to kind of share with the board, and if there's any thoughts or ideas. Of course, last week was a doozy. First, before I say anything, always safety is number one, and so glad we made it through it, not just for school, but didn't hear any neighbors or patrons or anyone. I mean, so obviously we want everyone to weather the storm. But when I look at inclement weather in the school, I look inside out. So before we even start talking about school, we have to make sure our buildings are working. So we really do start inside. So are the boilers working? Are we going to be able to get every room warm? Because sometimes, just like your houses, the furnace goes out. We need to think of something else. Then we start going out from the walls. So are our sidewalks, are our parking lots, and then you just continue. Are our buses starting? We do plug all of our buses except the little ones are diesel, and so we do plug those in along the light poles at Broadmoor Elementary to hopefully keep the diesel from gelling and everything else. When it gets really cold, some of that's is very difficult, as some of you know if you have diesel vehicles, but they were all able to start. Cindy will come in sometimes and start those. Sometimes, in fact, I remember last year there were some school districts that left their buses running all night. Now that sounds a lot, but if you know diesel motors, they don't burn a lot. Not that you want to waste fuel, but it's not like keeping an unleaded car running all night. So we haven't had to do that, but she did come in over break, and if your car sat outside, you know how they were in a deep freeze. But then we also have to look at our staff, the weather forecast. We have schools on a lot of different listservs. We get up early and drive roads, 156 square miles. So just like this last snowstorm, very different. I went all the way down to 399, a lot more snow down there than on the northern boundary as well. I don't like calling school off when we did. I like to call it off the night before if we can, but as you saw, the forecast was dusting to 3 inches, and they definitely was on the heavy end. I think everyone got 3, some down south probably up to 5 inches. So we missed 3 days of school. The staff missed 4, but the Monday was a work day. So as far as counting our hours, the 1,116 hours for our K-11, and our seniors of 1086, that wasn't counting towards anyway, because a work day, when teachers come in, is 0 hours towards that. A parent-teacher conference is 1 for 1. Professional development day is half. So if we're there 8 hours on professional development, it counts 4 hours for that. Now we see a teacher instructional day is full. So we've missed 3 days towards that, but we usually build in roughly 5 or 6. I actually don't usually even ask Jenny to look at that, even though our secretaries do keep that weekly, so Jenny can get that information for us. So once we start getting a few more, we do have to look at that. Kindergarten, we sometimes have to look at, because kindergarten roundup will be coming up, where we don't ask those kindergartners to come for a couple days, and so obviously making sure our seniors have the time as well. So forecast looks okay as far as precipitation for the next couple of weeks. So I know it was a long Christmas break for some parents, and they were probably glad to get them back today, and so were we. And I think we were excited. So I just wanted to share that as well.
So we've got a couple more to work with.
We do, yeah. And as I've shared before, and we'll cross that bridge, we've never had to, but I think it'd be difficult to extend the school year. Of course, minutes equate to days, and so, come March or April, when we don't think we're going to have any more snow days, and say let's just say we had 10 snow days or something. My prior recommendation would be, let's extend the school day to get those hours. I mean, even right now, a lot of people already have vacations and other things, daycare lined up for in May, and so, but we'll just have to, and hopefully we don't have to cross that bridge. But yes, most buildings have about 6 days, because you either have to do one or two things. You either have to build over, or you have to put into the calendar actual snow days. So like if we had that system, then we'd already be saying like, oh, President's Day is snow day 1, we're coming on that day, and stuff like that. So most of the time, teachers and students like our calendar system better, because they get those days off and are safe. So, right.
Okay. 4.2, school board boundaries analysis.
This is in the packet, but I thought it might be easier to just have a paper copy as well. Sometimes paper is easier. We discussed this last time, and then Lanny and I were able to go up to RSP Associates. They're a demographer company, so they help many, just not school districts, they help counties and cities, anything studying population trends. Oh, actually, I probably gave you another one.
Yep.
That's right for Jenny.
Pass one back.
Yeah, sorry about that. And so we'll try to go through this. The first few that you see, and they are page numbers. When you roll it, you can see it's in the purple, a white number. So, like, for example, page 6, that's our current boundaries. And then we get into the scenarios, and the scenarios, a few of the first ones you saw last time. So for example, I'm on page 9 where it says scenario 1. You had seen this one. We showed this one last time, so that is not new. It shows what the boundaries could be in scenario 1. It shows, remember, we have to stay within 5% of the mean. So that's on page 11, that it's showing that in this scenario 1, it would meet that. Less than 5% or not more than 5%. So it's plus or minus 5% of the mean. And then scenario 2 is on 12. The map of that scenario is on 13. And then the data analysis or the percentages were on 14. So you had been presented those two last time. What I had heard from the board, and we went back, and Lanny and I did with them. And before I get there, Lanny and I learned a lot. It's not as easy as just saying, well, let's have this neighbor go into this one. There are what are called census blocks. And so they had the big screen TV, almost like the screen up there. And so as Lanny and I were working, and they were working with us, that's what they'd have to do. They'd have to go grab like an entire census block. And when I say block, it's not necessarily a city block, or some of them are natural. So like you can see probably 69 Highway and Metcalf are some dividers. Sometimes maybe a railroad track, a river, but the census blocks are what they have to go, like, all right, I'm gonna go trade one of the census blocks in Surprise for Joe Aaron's or whatever like that. And so depending on how many people live in that census block, that can really skew the data positive or negative. What we did, and so scenario 3 is new. You have not seen scenario 3. So scenario 3, what I had kind of heard from the board is, can we square them up a little bit more? And so it's hard. Our western boundary is very difficult to square up, but and then Rob, so he's green up top. He comes down south a little bit more. across 247. Jim goes across Metcalf. Jennifer takes kind of a backwards L shape there. And Joe Aaron comes south and takes more kind of the lake subdivision in that scenario as well. We're real close on the mean populations on this one. So if you look on page 17, you can see we're only off District 2, which is Lanny, is only 23 people less than the mean. And District 3, which is Joe Aaron, she's 23 above. Everyone else, I mean, District 6, so Jennifer would be only 3 above. Sarai's only 4 below, and Rob's only 9 below. So it gets us the closest to the mean. All 3 of these scenarios work as far as the 5% of the range, but this one really gets close.
It was very interesting because, you know, you think that they can just move a little area over. When they showed us those blocks, it was like, you think it makes, you move it just one thing you're gonna do, all of a sudden it ups it a lot more, or takes a lot more away than you think it is, because the population in that, you don't know what it is till they click on it and put it in there, and it was pretty amazing how they do that.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Jennifer's, I mean, it's completely changed your district.
Yeah.
It's
Mine was-
really
mine was-
completely changed mine too.
Yeah, mine was I was very overly populated
Yes.
the last
Yeah.
currently.
And then scenario 4 and 5, I was just charged to, all right, if the board down the road, and I heard that this wasn't, because obviously it's have to be a referendum, if the board chose to go to 3, with 2 board members in each one, what potentially could those look like? So that's what scenario 4, which begins on page 19, and scenario 5, which begins on page 22, do. Now, orange doesn't change at all on scenario 4 or 5. So, like Joe Aaron, you don't have to worry. Your rectangle stays the same. The only difference between 4 and 5 is trading some green and purple out. So, this is for, as I recall, kind of back burner because the board chooses to go this way, but what we kind of discussed is, hey, since you're going up there, what would a district of 3 wards look like? And so these are just 2 possibilities. They could change. You can see once again, so now the mean changes, the mean doubles to 3,200. So you can see what data analysis in scenario 4 does, and then you can see what it does in 5. But like I said, District 3 and both of those doesn't change. It's what they did a little bit to District 1 and 2. I believe we just have 3 districts in those scenarios.
So let me ask you this. So say we went with scenario 3.
Yeah.
But we also decided we wanted to, instead of having 6 blocks, we wanted 3. Can we just decide to put, say, 1 and 5 together, 3 and 4 together, and 2 and 6 together, or do they have to start all over again?
No, you could,
We can combine whichever ones we want because
Yes.
the population will be
yes,
correct.
yes.
Yeah, because that's what scenario 4 and 5 does though, right?
Yeah.
But then you can step.
Right,
to
but-
another scenario 2.
Like
what
if you
you're
look at,
saying.
if you look at scenario 3 and then you look at 4 and 5, well,
Yeah,
like my district or most everybody's district would be completely different again. So
yeah.
we would change it twice within 4 years. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then whatever scenarios, so 1, 2, or 3 the board chooses to do, this is probably the most pressing because then RSP, they will actually, so whichever one the board chooses to do now before the primary or before filing, which is early June, they'll work on the legal descriptions of all these and send to the county clerk's office. So then everyone will know if they file or where they're a registered voter, who, one, if they can file, what ward they would be filing for, and then 2, voting. So that's the most pressing. And then if the board down the road would choose to do 4 or 5, I heard that would be on probably a general election of some kind. So
yeah, because otherwise you gotta pay for the extra special
Right.
election, yeah.
We don't want that.
so
So if we decided to do it, say we did 3 right now, 5 also is a replication of that. Essentially, it's just two of them together, right?
4 and 5 are, if you put, the best, because they are kind of, they, at first glance, they look exactly the same. If you take page 22 and page 19 and put them side by side, you can see how green and purple swap a little bit.
Yeah.
Orange stays the same.
But I'm saying, like, if we,
Yeah.
say right now, because we do have to choose one of them, right? 1, 2, or 3?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Or
if we-
tell me to go back and get another scenario,
Well-
but it is kind of, we do need to get this
I mean-
moving for the upcoming filing date.
Yeah, I mean, this, obviously 3 was the closest. But if we are deciding to submit, like, so say we go, hey, this is what we're doing this time around, but we want to put it on the ballot to go to 3 districts. Which one overlap?
I don't think,
5?
I don't think either one.
You know, and 4 and 5 would not have to be that one. First, and you wouldn't even have to decide that as a board, you would first, because you want to, you'd want to get the public's approval first.
Yeah.
So now,
No, I
maybe
think, yeah.
in that, you could show some scenarios, if this is voted, this is potentially what it looks like.
Yeah.
But you would not, you would first have to ask permission to even do 4 and 5. I would just task with, what would that potentially look like?
Yeah.
So you would first go to the public and ask them, explain your reasons why, and then if that is approved, then you would work on developing that. Now, because even 4 and 5 maybe wouldn't potentially quite be like that, because still Green has 3 board members. And so if we want to get, what I heard you want to get 2 board members in each one, alternating every 2 years, which we could do that, but scenario 4 and 5 did not do that. So right now, Lanny and Sarai are together. But 3 of you are in green, Joe Aaron's by herself. So would Jim or Jennifer, would you move Orange over a little bit to grab one of those 2?
Should just have to move.
Yeah, or just go across Metcalf there.
Yeah. And I think we talked about also, as far as even deciding that, we would kind of wait until
Mhm.
after the next board election and let that board kind of do it. Didn't we talk
Yes.
about that?
We did.
Yeah, before
Are we,
you-
is this this is not action?
It's not,
Is it,
'cause
but it can be?
It could
Could
be,
be.
but I didn't want to rush it. If I needed to clarify or get another scenario. So yeah, you're really looking right now at scenario 1, 2, and 3.
I mean, really, the people that it affects the most as far as board members are myself, Jennifer, and Joe Aaron. Our districts will, or our area, whatever you want to call them,
Shifting.
are gonna shift considerably.
I mean, I think personally, 3 looks, 3 makes the most sense. I
I
think.
agree. What do you think, Joe Aaron?
I'm fine with it.
I mean, I'm fine, if the board's fine with it, I'm fine with making a motion to.
It cleans it up a little.
I think
Yes.
it squares things up. It's less confusing. I mean, it's closer to, I mean, I don't know.
And they tried a lot of scenarios, but they just weren't coming out
Yeah, it's
percentage wise.
just odd. I mean, you wouldn't think that it's,
That 3 work all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm good with
I actually think.
2 or 3, but 3.
Rob, you were flanking through, you wanted to go south of 247, so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anybody south of my house. It's weird. Across the street, my neighbor
Well,
couldn't vote.
I was the same way.
Here, yeah.
But, I mean, I'll jump across Metcalf, but I'll lose the people that live across the street from me too.
I'm good with,
What about, and this is just a silly question, but in the zone 3, or the orange, on scenario 3, all the way over to state line, what is that at 295th? Why doesn't it go straight across? What's that little jog?
I think there's a road there that,
Or is there a river there? Let's see, 295th. Oh, yeah, that does, because I live off 295th. You cannot go 295th over there because there's cold water over there. I think that's a
Okay.
little creek. I mean, there is a
It
railroad.
just is funny looking. Everything else is square except
does.
that one little.
Yeah, I
It's
believe
like
it.
they forgot to color that corner in.
Yeah, no different. Like if you look at the very top left of Lanny's, see that little thing up there at the top left? So there,
It's like a cul-de-sac up there or
like I
something.
don't, yeah, would that be, no, that would be Childs. That's south of there.
Somewhere
So
like that.
I don't know what's there. what they explained that, you know, it's, sometimes it would be a square miles, and you can see a lot of those square miles sections down in Sarai's district, but other times because of rivers and trees and railroads and highways, those become natural census blocks as well, so.
When even the orange Mission Bellevue isn't the cutoff, it looks like it's almost,
I have it pulled up here, and there's a road that Coldwater goes off into an angle,
Yeah.
and then there's some kind of a boundary that runs all the way over the state line. And I don't know what that is. It looks like it's just a property
Tree line
line,
or
so,
something.
but it's not a property line because it's all owned by the same people. So I'm not sure, but it's following that line.
What's the ad, what's like roughly, what is that?
It's basically,
295th.
yeah, just north of,
It's just a field.
What's the
Yeah.
percentage
Well,
you had
Coldwater,
standard?
couple
5%
different
plus
places
or
comes to
minus.
the.
Oh, 5.
So a lot of room.
State
for
line.
growth.
I thought they might be cutting that out because Joanne was already,
No.
Yeah, yeah.
This is.
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's no one that lives there, so there's
5%.
So she's 1.4 above, and Atlantic 1.4 below. A lot of room for growth.
right.
So there's nothing there.
I don't know why they cut that out.
It's just north of Gravity Hill, is where it is.
that's what I was thinking.
And Coldwater makes a jog right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just like a weird boundary right there that runs through someone's property, and they cut that off. No one lives in it, so it's not because of population.
That's what I
I
wondered.
bet
Is
it's,
There's some big subdivision. I
well,
didn't
I wonder if District 4 includes the house at 295th and
It's that
Coldwater.
haunted house probably.
Yeah.
Sign.
Might be.
It probably just has to be on a road, right? And there's just not a road
know.
there.
Or it
Okay.
curves like that.
Or a curve like that,
Well,
yeah.
curves there on that, like going to, well, that'd be further south, where you go to Gravity Hill, it curves there.
Right, but this is farther
That's
north.
further north,
This is
next
just-
mile north.
This is just north of
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah, it does curve there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's up to the board on approving, or
It's
next
fine
month,
with
it's
me.
just my task after it's approved is to work with RSP on official descriptions of all 6 of these and get those to the county, but, whether it's this month or next
And
month.
that needs to be done before June,
Well,
for
before
sure.
the filing, yeah,
Yeah,
So really, like, I'd be trading Summerfield for the lake.
yes, very, yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
biggest
that's-
population.
yeah.
trade.
Yeah, and I'd be trading the east side of Metcalf, or the west side of Metcalf for the east side of Metcalf. But, and basically I would take Summerfield.
Yeah.
So,
Is anybody opposed to approving this tonight?
I'm not. I'm all for it.
I am too.
I think time's short. I mean,
Yeah, I
if
think-
we're all in agreement, let's get it going, because I think, one, we're taking care of taking care of our constitutional responsibilities, make sure that, you know, the districts are even, and one person doesn't have more say than the other, or one voter. But I think you know, we clean it up some, and then we're gonna have to think about, you know, when we move ahead in a couple of years, how do we get this before the public as to why we're going to 3 districts instead of 6? I think it's, you know, letting them know that you'll be able to have more impact on the school board, because you're voting on the school board every 2 years.
exactly.
And so I think it's very voter friendly. But yeah, I think,
Well, the other thing is, I mean, and that's obviously back burner, but just so you think, I've got this, and I think they say in the pros, if it looks similar to 4 and 5, both of those capture both city and county. So RSP worked with those. You look at those, in either scenario 4 or 5 map, you would represent parts of Louisburg City proper and county. Right now, we don't have that. You know, some of you are just like Rob, obviously, no city. So if you look at, they have went in to city limits on all 3 of those colors. So as a board member, you would represent the city of Lewisburg and the county in those 2 scenarios. So I just wanted to.
and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, the RSP thought that was, they mentioned that, they
Yeah.
thought that was an important thing for a community, I guess.
Can we make a motion right now? Or do we
would
wait until
move that
we
to
make the
five
action?
point two, yeah.
So, okay. Okay, 4.3, review updated board policies.
Okay, have several, the big packet is, the KASB policy forms, as you know, they, unless things change, pretty standard that they send December and June ones, and so usually they're a month behind us, or we are, in getting those to you, because sometimes they come out after the board meeting. They do a nice job as a document there that Jenny has up there, kind of the clip notes. And then if you go to the right, back up, right there, it just kind of shares. So there are 11 existing policy revisions, 2 new policies, 2 deleted policies, 5 revisions. I always like to point out the new ones. So the 2 new ones, one is policy DFH, and it's on fundraising activities. And you can see it says several members have requested policy regarding fundraising. This policy was drafted to provide general guidelines to fundraisers that occur at school, on school property, and school-sponsored events. As I read through that, and some of you have been on the board longer, we've really done a nice job of working through the fundraising process. Now all coaches and sponsors or buildings have to submit those forms to me. I have to approve those. They have to give us budgets. And so many things that you see in DFH, we are already doing. The other new policy was JGFGAA, stock supply of emergency medication. This says this policy was drafted to reflect a change in state law that allows for districts to keep a stock supply of epinephrine and albuterol in accordance with the guidelines outlined in the policy. So I sent that policy to our nurses, just making sure that we were okay with that, or were we, gonna need to do something. Candace Prothy, she had shared that she thought that was fine and that we would be in compliance and could do that one as well, and supported that law as well. So I just always like to share the new ones as well. And this is just for discussion. Next month, we'll bring these for approval as well. So before I go, and then we got another policy, and then I think Mr. Foot had another one. So anything that you need clarification?
On the DFH, I know it said something in there that changed about that, kids can't be held responsible by coaches and stuff if they don't sell so many tickets and do this and that for fundraising so much money. And I know over the years, every year you hear it from some parents that if they have to sell 10 tickets, say, or something to something, they all feel they have to do it. If they don't sell them all, they buy them themselves because they feel if they don't, their kid will be, it's just a feeling among the people. And I don't know how you can ever change that attitude because they all feel that their child will suffer consequences, I guess you say, if they don't sell, say, 10, 20, 30 tickets, that they say, okay, you need to sell 20 tickets or 10. I've heard it over the years that why do they put a quota on it? Because then if my kid doesn't sell 10, I feel they're going to be held accountable for it by the coaches or somebody. And it's just a persona out there that they feel that way. And I noticed that was in here about
It is, and
about not to be, make sure that they know that I don't know how you get it to the kids to take it home, that, if you don't sell this, man, it's fine, but this is our goal to meet this.
I think that.
For your sport, for whatever you're raising the money for, it's gonna help what you're doing and for you too.
So Lanny's referencing the third paragraph right there.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
Says faculty and student participation in fundraising shall be strictly voluntary. At no time shall participation in fundraising impact the student's grade or membership, participation time, or standing on a team, club, or group. And we already say door to doors discouraged, but that 2 sentences right there is what Lanny is recommending or bringing up to us. And so, if approved, we would just once again need to be working with our coaches and teachers.
Yeah, or whoever's doing a fundraiser that, hey, don't make them feel that if they don't, they're gonna.
Playing time.
Or whatever, just to get that point across to them some way. But then also if you do that, they may not sell anything. I mean, you gotta be tactful about how you say that, I guess, and try to get the point across that it's not gonna hurt you if you don't, but just, hey, here's our goal.
Do they have, if we have tryouts, if you have a team that has cuts, do we have a practice of having a fundraiser and then prior to having cups?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know, I think,
That's
I
small.
never thought about that.
I don't love that either. I
Yeah.
really do. But then I think about like the basketball team, one of their fundraisers is selling mums that you get in the fall. So I don't know. I mean, like, but I think it feels a little
Never thought about that
wrong.
before.
But yeah, but then I get like their fundraiser. I mean, the timing of
They're
it.
always earlier than when the season starts.
Yeah,
So-
for all of them, to
And
get
I
their
like
money,
mums.
so they have it to work with.
So our tryout sports, and squad reductions would be, in the fall would be, volleyball, that would be the only one in the fall. And then basketball, boys and girls, soccer. So we'd have soccer and volleyball in the fall. Winter, so right now it'd be boys and girls basketball. And then in the spring, it'd be baseball, softball, and girls soccer.
Yeah, they all, like Rob said, they all do it before the
Because
season
you
starts.
need, because you kind of need that money for things.
Yeah,
The season, you have to have it ahead of time to do it, right?
yeah,
But I get like, I guess. I don't know.
yeah,
I
'cause-
guess if you don't.
I don't know the
know
solution.
the
The
answer to
reality
that.
is, though, what Pat said, I mean, we do have those, and then if a student is no longer on the team, they have fundraised.
I don't know, I would like to know kind of what the global fundraising opportunities or things that go on in USD 416. You know, from Jump Rope for Heart, you know, we're raising all of this money. We've got kids that come to us to be educated. And sometimes it feels like we're really using them more than, you know, they're people too. But yet we're gonna say, okay, you have to go out and do this, or if you wanna be a PE teacher for a day or whatever you do, then, you know, the costs are extensive and you've got kids that are sitting there that don't have the ability to pay for that. And so, I don't know, but I don't understand the whole sum of fundraising that we do. But I do get people that complain about it. And whether it's a rounding, you know, not even a rounding error in our budget. I don't know if the money's significant. I don't know what we would have to replace it with. But I don't know. I think we ought to do a deep dive on it because I don't think we understand everything that we do in the district.
I think it's significant money. I mean, we're not just talking like even $10,000 in a lot of these.
Well,
I think
a lot of it depends on I mean, like on the sports, well, I mean, we know what that money goes for. It goes for gear. I mean, like, say for basketball, when they sell the mums, it goes for their gear that they get for that year.
Like warm-ups. and
Warm-ups or backpacks, whatever, that the kids get. For like football, I think Drew uses it for
The
different things.
team meal, like, they get team meals every time they have a game.
Well, but that comes out of Friends of Football.
yeah,
Oh, that,
Yeah,
the meal,
Puddle, they play
Yeah.
part of Puddle.
well, that comes out of Friends of Football too.
Well, Jim,
I'm just trying to be transparent here.
So from a district perspective, we've always supported all this activities, co-curricular, extracurricular, done everything through district funds that allow students to participate. Fundraising, big picture has been for the frills on top of that. So the district reconditions helmets, we buy all uniforms, we buy all basketballs, we buy the clickers for Scholars Bowl, you name it. But when teams are wanting the meals, when teams are wanting a third shooting shirt or, you know, those things, or camps, you know, going to Northwest Missouri State or wherever, those have always been, those are outside of the districts. I mean, we would never have, you know, the football team fundraise for something that, I mean, if we're gonna have football, we're gonna do everything we can, they play on
That's
Friday
the
night.
additional
It's
stuff.
the additional, I'll call them frills, that our coaches and teams feel like they need.
And then like elementary level, like Glow Bash, that's like field trips and things like that throughout the year, right? And then the walkathon, same type of situation, right?
Absolutely.
Field trips and
That's
things
a
like
big
that.
chunk of it. I mean,
Yes.
field trips are about for $6,000 by the time you bus and
Yeah.
pay for
And
their.
then what about like
tickets.
Jump Rope Heart, where does that money go? Some of it goes back
We
to
were
the
just
Heart
talking about
Association,
that.
some of it goes to the Heart Association. I'm just thinking about what my kids fundraise
We
for.
do get some PE equipment, like the teacher can get some equipment
Yeah.
through that.
But what's the school's cut of Jump Rope for
I
Heart?
have no idea. I'd have to, I mean, I don't know off the top. I'm sure I have it somewhere, but
I don't think it's that
No, I'll have to
significant,
look
but
and see.
yeah.
I even feel like, I might even have the paper at home, I feel like even on the paper that came home,
Let's see if I
it
can
kind of gives like tells the
breakdown.
parents like a breakdown of to where your money goes.
Most of that does go to
The Heart Association, yeah. I was just thinking about the fundraisers that my kids have.
And for sports, the only thing I can figure is maybe when they have the co-parents meetings, is to tell them that, cause there's a lot of parents that can't afford to buy these tickets themselves. They'd have to sell 10, 20 tickets or gift card, those cards that baseball and football sell, for $20 a piece or whatever. Those are a good deal. But some of the parents can't afford that, but they feel they gotta buy them for their kid to be able to play. And that's, you mentioned the people that can't afford it. And I mean, it's impossible for some of them, and that sometimes they feel their kids getting slighted because of it. Whether they are or not, who's to say, but they feel that way. So they're afraid that it will happen, I guess. Somewhere in the parents' meeting, it needs to be explained to them, I guess, some way that, I don't know how you get that across. That's a. I don't know.
I know that there was a time, and this has been a while back, but there was a time that if you didn't sell your allotted amount, you didn't get the gear, but that's been changed, which is good. So,
Well, I think now if you don't sell them, you have to pay the balance, or you have to tell them you can't afford it, but
Yeah.
you pay a difference.
Cause I know a lot of parents, say if you're supposed to sell 20, they may sell 10, they'll buy the other 10 themselves, just,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
write them a check.
yeah,
That's what we've done,
yeah,
which I don't, and some families can't afford that.
yeah.
And if you have more than one kid in the sport too, I mean, it gets expensive.
Well, yeah, I
Sure.
thought about that too. That's even worse. If you got 2 or 3 planned. Yeah,
I just wish there's a better way to do it. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't either.
But don't we have a lot of success when the parents do the fundraising? When it's football, soccer.
well, I mean, obviously football has Friends of Football that does a separate fundraising. It started out for scholarships, and the scholarships are now fully vested, so that's moved to other stuff like Friends of Football paid for the bus when the kids went to Wichita. They pay for all the meals. And I got a whole accounting of it at home. But I mean, it's a considerable expense, but the parents raise all that money. It's different. It's separate from, because the football team also does other fundraising where they sell the cards, and that goes for the extra gear or whatever that the kids, they have the football bags, different things, huddle.
I mean,
Well, the huddle is paid for by Friends of
Okay.
Football. But I know Drew uses it for other stuff.
but but truly though, I mean, football's the only sport that has that kind of backing.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, as far as like parents
But
really
I
doing
think
a lot with
Haven't
it.
some of the other sports looked into,
Some friends of, so soccer,
well, actually,
soccer, the parents man the concession stand both seasons, and that is given back to the coaches for, some things. That's a lot of time and effort, so, so boys soccer, and now coming up girls, if you go to a soccer game, those are parent volunteers in that concession stand. Yeah, in the other sports, I think an argument would be probably if the coaches were here, they know football gets the most and always has. By having some of these fundraising, it evens the playing field a little bit if they were eliminated. Because I don't know if there can be a Friends of the track team or a Friends of, the cross country team. Definitely nothing like Friends of Football. And so for John Reese and Shelby Souther to be able to do a cross-country fundraiser, they're able to get some gear for the cross-country team.
I mean, I would definitely not be in favor of like not doing the fundraising.
I mean, yeah, 'cause that's gear that those kids get to keep.
Yeah.
You know, they get that gear every year and that's theirs. It's,
Well, sometimes, I mean, like volleyball, they have to turn their bags back in. and
well, but
Some of the,
I guess it would depend on the sport. I mean,
Yeah.
I know in
well, football. maybe you're putting
Basketball.
some
I know
really stinky stuff in.
several years ago, there was a question brought up about the money that they were selling for football, and, we just put numbers to it, and if you had 70 football kids out and they each supposed to sell 20 tickets, $20 a piece, that's $28,000. How much does it, I'm sure the people you get the tickets from, or the cards from, have to go get the sponsors and stuff like that, so there's an expense there in printing the cards, but we never did find out what what someone mentioned a while ago, how much are we clearing off that $28,000 if they sell that many tickets? That's a lot of money. And how much money are we clearing off that, so if you have that for every sport? I mean, football's got more participants, so there's gonna be more money involved there and more expense. But what about other sports? I mean, how much, I think one of you mentioned it, is how much really do they clear off that? You know, if they sell $20,000 worth, do they get $10,000 of it to use for the team? I mean, I don't think that question's ever been
You're
figured
supposed to
out.
show that now, correct?
Yeah, when they do their budget, since we've been talking football, so when Drew applies for the fundraiser, and fundraisers are all at the building account, they are audited, so when John comes in, he audits all building accounts as well, and fundraiser accounts. But like Jenny said, Sharon Murphy would, because that's what the policy says, all fundraising, that is now considered school property, those funds, so those don't go into a personal account or anything like that. They go into high school account under football.
They have to pay
under
sales
volleyball.
tax
They
on
have to pay sales tax on there too. Yeah, that's some people don't, anytime, even concession stands. So if you're buying a hot dog tonight at the football game, we're paying, or a basketball game, we're paying sales tax.
So that's
on that.
income, yeah.
Yeah, so schools have to pay that. So sizable on sales tax as well. But it just depends. I mean, a lot of those are about a 50% takes on 20,000.
Yeah.
10,000 is probably going back to the company, give or take 40 to 60%
Yeah.
plus sales tax as well. But they do submit their budgets, so, and I can share those with you, so Drew would show exactly last year how much he made. So they show the previous year's budget to me and then what he spent that money on.
So the fundraising, I mean like band, garage sale, that's fundraising, right?
Yeah.
So then, but we get to clubs and that's separate, right?
Yeah, well, band, I mean, that's for their big trip, which that's still 2 years away, no different. Allison will be planning, so choir is gonna be going every 3 years, cause she just takes sophomores, juniors, and seniors. It'll be every 4 years, so his is 2 years away, Allison's will be next year again.
I mean, I guess what I was saying with band and choir, even that, I mean, if you're a senior and you're helping with the band garage sale, I mean, you're out of here, you're not getting anything from that anymore, cause you're, you know.
How that works,
But I
if
think
they're a
that's-
younger sibling,
Transfer
they
to their
transfer
account.
that. I think how Mr. C had that, and now Zeb has that. It'd be no different when those kids were coming, it's cyclical now.
Okay.
So-
because when they came in,
They were receiving some funds. and
Right,
there's-
I
and
mean,
that
I guess
has
it's just, sometimes it's just,
helped
maybe
with
rather
that.
you participate in the next year or not, just kind of your contribution to the activity, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess a lot of parents feel that, you know, they're paying an activity fee anyway, which they feel is high, and then they gotta buy the rest of the, whether it's baseball deal or band or whatever, they've gotta spend more money just to support our teams.
Sure.
Which it does take a lot of money, so I don't.
How do camps work? Or does it go towards is it extra income? Is it for the teams, or how does that work?
Now, coaches camps, and this is what attorneys and Keisha would say, those are not. So when Coach Dole has a basketball camp, that is his camp. And so that he can help, like if he brings in someone from KU or his coaches that help, they can be paid for that. The t-shirts, you know, he is making money to provide back a ball or whatever, but that is income for coaches when they have. So when, you know, there's a soccer camp, when there's a basketball camp, That is not governed by us, so that's different than the fundraising. Katie, correct on that,
That's
right?
correct. Most of the time when like basketball had one, you pay the friends of basketball, or you Venmo the coach directly. Those are not associated with,
Those don't get audited either.
they are happening outside of the school district's funds as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, they have to go
Like a
get their
friend of
own,
a
they have to go get their own insurance. We don't cover them. So if Coach Dell or Adrian's having, their basketball camps, you know, they can go anywhere. It's easy to turn them to Elliott, and they, just like LRC, they have to go get what we require. So, you know, the several $1 million of liability policies.
Okay, so they do have to get their own for the camps.
Yes. And
They like rent the gym spaces and
yes,
things like
and
that
then,
for that.
if it's for our kids, no on that. But they do have to go get the liability insurance in case something happens. They're not covered under our liability insurance. So we see the certificates of liability.
I guess I don't see any reason with looking into how much fundraising we get or how much we make out of the fundraising, but I think we need to keep doing it.
Oh,
I can share that with the board. I'll get.
Yeah, I think it'd be simple just to bring in a report.
Yep.
You
So we'd
know,
like to see income and expenses,
Yeah.
so what they have and what they're using for.
Yeah, we did that several years ago, but we
Yeah.
never did get everybody's, I don't think, or we really didn't.
I'd like to see how much they're asked to raise. You know, like if it's $800 for a basketball, per person on a basketball team. I mean, I don't know if that number's close or,
Pretty close.
yeah. I mean, it,
Seems high, but yeah.
I mean, doing some of that is probably okay. I just want to, I want to make sure that we don't tip over the edge. And it's fun, you know, we've got I don't know. I just don't, I want to make sure that we're not disenfranchising some children because their parents are really struggling. Maybe they got one income at home. You know, anybody in this room can probably write a check for whatever their kids want to do. But not everybody's like that in our school district. So, I mean, we've got a very supportive district, and I just want to make sure that we understand what we're doing. And right now, I don't think as a board, we understand everything that's going on with fundraising. I'm not saying it's bad, not saying it's good, just we don't understand.
So every month, Katie, remind me of this, you get the high school report.
Yeah, I've seen that
So
before.
all her accounts.
But that doesn't give us a view
Yeah,
from
but-
from what a child has to do
Absolutely, but this
to
is
play on a
just,
team.
they were talking about balances and what came in and all that stuff, so if you just,
There's a
And where you see the negative, that's there, what,
that's actually the positive, but how
Oh,
we
okay.
report our
That's what-
accounting.
okay, yeah,
So like football would be 13,
that's what they've got in the account right now.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
so it
Yeah.
looks kind of weird, but
So like, go back, Lady Cat, since it's there, so Adrian, so see,
So-
she had
thir-
3, and she
3,000.
spent, if you go to the right, 27. So
Okay, the
it's
right
season,
thing.
so she's, so she has $686
This is the
left
final, yeah.
right
Oh,
now.
okay,
So she has spent, and it's the season, you would think that makes sense, so she has
Yeah.
spent 2356. What I can do now, I can, get, how much each sport, requires, makes, detailed revenue and detailed expenses for the board.
And from the point of view of a student, what's asked of them?
Yeah, that's what, yeah. Is there any one others on these policies?
not those.
Yeah.
No, appreciate you bringing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
The next one, I was asked to look at policy JCAC, interrogation investigation. And so I did my best, and I really did not do my best to try to confuse anyone, but once again, it's just a first look. So our JCAC starts a little lower. I actually keep going down there, right,
Oh, sorry.
right there. So what you have in the packet is JCAC. Then what I did is, looked at Shawnee Missions, JCAC, so you have that in the packet.
And
And
it's under
then,
4.3, I can't remember which
It
one.
is.
That one's the part, yeah, I had to split
Part
because
two?
how.
Is that
it
part
was-
two?
so that's Shawnee Missions there, you can see their logo right there at top. And then what I did, if you, is I tried to marry them together. So the third document,
This one?
I think it's.
So it's back with the
4.3C.
first one over. I had to split yours
C.
because.
Oh, C, okay.
That's right.
so this one is JCAC. And what I tried to do, not to confuse you and hopefully to save a little time, is put them together. So
One on
there's
4.3B.
areas that have been struck out, there's yellow, and then at the end there's green. So my key to you is this: if it is struck out, that means that we had it in ours, or we have it in ours, Shawnee Mission doesn't. If it's yellow, Shawnee Mission has that in their policy. And then at the end, that green on page 3, that's what we had and they did not have. So, but this was asked, if this policy could be looked at, and, so
There it is.
I took a deep dive into this
I
to
looked at it the
see,
other day and I couldn't remember which one was in.
and I know, obviously, maybe it's kind of first read, and so,
So green would be our new policy.
no, green was what, we have and they didn't have, and so I just.
So
left
which
that in.
color is the one that would be our new?
Well, I didn't, that's why I just didn't know, I didn't really bring you a detailed recommendation on it. I wanted to discuss and see what your thoughts are.
So the green's what we do not have.
So back to the first part, so like where it says, so right, no, go back there. So right there. So you see where school security officers is struck through. That's our policy, but what's in yellow is what Shawnee Mission has. And you, I mean.
Oh,
if you pull
okay.
up- So anything in yellow is what Shawnee Mission School District says instead of what we say. So we say building administrators, school security officers. Shawnee Mission says building administrators, school district resource officers. Our policy says that, if you keep going, about violations of school rules, the student conduct code, and or law. Shawnee Mission doesn't say that. They say question students' infractions of school rules or the student conduct code. So anything that's on here, whether it's not struck through or struck through, is our policy currently. And you can pull up JCAC and see that. Anything in yellow is what Shawnee Mission has in their
Oh, okay.
policy.
I was thinking that was our.
So you
ours.
added that in?
I did
Okay.
and struck out what, I mean, and maybe I confused you guys more. I
No,
just
that's-
was
that
trying-
makes sense.
And you struck out what ours said.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Now, I thought it was the other way
Yeah.
around. This is a new and this is what we were
No.
gonna follow. Okay.
So no different than that second paragraph, we both say, is she there? This
More.
Oh, okay. So we both say in both our policies, if there is a reason to believe a violation of criminal law has been committed, you can look at Shawnee Missions, you can look at ours. It says that. We say the next part, what is I've struck out. Shawnee Mission says what's in yellow in that one. So, and then that third paragraph you see there, Shawnee Mission doesn't even have that. Our current policy has that. So somehow we're
Is
not,
ours more detailed? than those? I mean, ours seems to,
Have more words?
well, I mean, yes.
I don't know, the amount of words makes. it
Right,
more
not necessarily
detailed.
words,
Yeah.
but like,
I think it slightly changes how we would go about things like that.
Yeah.
Because if you read into it,
It gets into more detail.
yeah,
Or-
with less
yeah.
words.
Yeah.
and then that last part of the green, it's just a definition. Shawnee Mission didn't have that's in ours, current JCAC. So, if this is too confusing, I can work with, I mean, both legal, Shawnee Mission's legal, whether it's KSB or their own, and ours, obviously, you can see when this was approved by KSB in 96, 07, 10, 12, and 18.
Yeah.
It was
And
approved
22.
at the end, yeah, 96, 04, 07, 07, 10, 12, 18, and 2022. Shawnee Missions, let's say, to they're legal. So they last revised theirs on October 24th of 2022. They adopted it on November 24th of 2014. All policies are always going to share those dates. But if
Okay, now I understand more what's what there, but, did you feel there was much difference between when you looked at them?
Well, some, I mean, just take what we call school security officer versus school district resource officer. That's obviously, and that's throughout, that's
Yeah.
not a large deal. You know, policies are written to be interpreted by, because no situation's ever gonna be the same. So, but, you know, policies are black and white, but they're interpreted by administrators and others that are trying to adhere to them through usually a lot of gray matter. And
Right.
so, no different than a police officer, or, you know, they have
Yeah.
rules and regs, and this traffic stop, even though they've been trained, is gonna be different than that traffic stop. That's no different than our administration as well. You know, if,
Yeah, because every situation is different.
yes, I really, I mean, if you feel, I mean, and you have time, and, or unless, like I said, this is too confusing, if it is, I can try to, but I guess I felt like this was a big enough one, I didn't know if it was right for me to, I mean, obviously, the ones I'm bringing you, KSB, those have been written by attorneys, I don't necessarily wanna Brian Bierman wordsmith one,
Do we need to, if we do make changes to it, do we need to have our legal look it over?
that would be preferable, yeah,
Just to confirm, like, we didn't strike out too much stuff, or,
yes.
like you said, wordsmith it correctly, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought the yellow was this, our
That's
stuff that
no.
we add, that would change.
So
or
like I
something.
said, whether it doesn't have a strike, or it does, that is ours. Where
Yeah.
it's yellow, you will not find it on ours, that is all Shawnee Missions.
Okay.
I just tried to, okay, then
Yeah.
put that, and are we able to put them together? And that, kind of that second paragraph is a good way to, it does flow. So like if you wanted to say Shawnee Missions, it would say if there's a reason to believe a violation of criminal law has been committed, the principal or school district resource officer shall notify the appropriate law enforcement agency as necessary and may request further investigation of violation. So both ways they read appropriately. It's just which way you would like to go.
I mean, we were trying to improve this to give better direction to our administrator, correct? And that was kind of some clarification on how we
Yeah.
handle unique situations.
Yes.
And so we felt like, obviously, we were given the Shawnee Mission one that had a little bit better reading. So I don't
And
know.
I can visit with, I'll meet with the admin tomorrow. I can share this with them tomorrow.
And then maybe have our
Legal. And then share it with you guys again. And as you read through it, if you see something, please let me know.
Only thing I saw is where you couldn't contact the parents, then a principal would stand in the room. But if the principal's the investigator for something, then is that really unbiased third party that's standing there next to the student?
It's the.
I
law,
believe
it's
that's
the state.
state statute, though, it's a Latin word
Yeah,
that,
that's
I mean,
the
that's,
that's-
yeah, like you can't remember, but, so that's why you do contact them, but I believe the law, just that policy says then the principal is acting in the principal or as a parent in that situation. It's a locus or something like that, I'm butchering. it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if that's normal and customary, that's fine. It's just, that's stuff.
I think,
Go ahead.
and maybe, and this is just more of our, like, our policy could read, obviously, we can update it, but also like emphasize, we really do want parents involved in these, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we have that direction, like, really focus on that, like, if it gets to that level, then we want to try to have them, that would be my thought.
There's sheriff's,
Make
police,
contact, yeah.
police are involved. The
Yeah.
only time a police officer, whether SRO or police officer, can visit with a child without the parents knowing or permission, it would be in a situation, like a DCF, a Department
Yeah.
of Children and Family, where there is suspected maybe child abuse or something. Other than that, we don't allow a highway patrolman, a sheriff officer, a Louisburg police to come in at 9 o'clock and ask the child to be pulled out of class. They need to do that outside of class.
And we always had two people, adults.
We did.
Okay, good.
In loco parentis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you find that in state law statute? I'm curious where.
I didn't pull that up.
Okay.
I mean, it's here somewhere. It just means the term refers to a common law doctrine which denotes the legal responsibility of some person or organization to perform some of the functions or responsibilities of a parent. That's just,
Well, you
that's
just,
not
you did
state
say,
statute.
well, you did say legal, so
Yeah.
it is legal. Okay,
That
so
way.
I will, work with the admin, I'll work with legal, and, I'll send you guys something out even before the next board meeting, so we can. And then I know, on the fundraising, what I need to do.
Okay, and then the last policy is, the board self-evaluation that we need to probably schedule over sometime here in the next, I just gonna do it next month. I mean, don't know what our agenda's gonna look like. We need to make sure that we're following that policy and go through the bullet points on here. Board members should be involved in developing the standards and process to be used. Standards may include, but not limited to, educational leadership, policy development, board member development and performance, relationships with the superintendent and other staff members, communications with the public, fiscal management, board meeting organization, and committee performance, relations with cooperating agencies and other governmental organizations. And I think some of this we already do, but there's some of it we don't. So we just need to schedule that probably on our next meeting, just a time where we can self-evaluate.
So would you, board like that? So when we start at 6 o'clock, you want that as the, like, one of the first discussion items? Do you want a 5:30 work session where this is the, topic? I'm just throwing out ideas, so.
I mean, I think it'd be great if we could do it. I mean, we want to do it, obviously, we want to publicize.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
we'll
Either
put it
way,
on air.
it'd be on the air, but,
Maybe just schedule like a 30-minute work session before the meeting where we can do our self-evaluation.
either way, I'm just throwing that out. I mean, that's, see a lot of times some work sessions, so that would be, we would post it, it would be open to the public, it would be on air, the board would just at 5:30 having a self-evaluation.
Would everybody be all right with that?
Yeah.
You think 30 minutes is enough? We get chatty once in a while.
That may be in our evaluation.
Well, I guess, I mean, let's stay on task, make it.
I think we stay on task. We'll be all
Or if you don't finish, then maybe it's another 30 for the next one or something like
right. Yeah, we don't have to do it all in one
Yeah.
meeting. We
I
can,
like it, okay.
So February's meeting?
Yeah, so it'll be 5:30 start for that.
Yep.
We'll get that in the-
Okay. Okay, 4.4, review Vision 2025 strategic plan.
Okay, Lanny would have been the only one that was a part of this. When I came to the district in 2014, there wasn't a strategic plan like this. The mission statement was honestly very, very wordy and long. You know, mission statements should be, in my opinion, well, I shouldn't say, I've read a lot of research too, short and sweet, to the point, but also that people can remember them. Nike has the best mission statement. Just do it. No one forgets that, you know? So ours was a paragraph. Now it is to educate each student in a safe and nurturing environment. Mission statements are what as a collective body, we believe in. No different than your church's mission statement or your organization's mission statement. Vision statement is where you want to take the organization that you're a part of. Of course, our core beliefs are right there. There's 8 of them. We have 5 goals, and those are the silos you see there. Every agenda item on the agenda, always in parentheses, shows what discussion or action item the board's talking about that pertains to these goals. Sometimes it's all of them. Obviously, if we're buying new computers, it's technology. So we have academics, communities, facilities, personnel, and technology. We worked through this process, and the board approved this April 9th of 2018. It's in the bottom right corner there. So it took a while to work through this process. At that time, you guys know how time flies. The board chose to call this Vision 2025. Here we are, Vision 2025. And so I don't know tonight what the board wants to call. I mean, this is a strategic plan. So whether it's called Vision 2030 when we're done, whether it doesn't have that, and it's just a strategic plan. At that time, the board chose to use Vision 2025 as a strategic plan. You can see the 5 goals. The actual goals are in that purple ribbon, and then there's targeted areas on the bottom. So this does need to be updated. This is different than the needs assessment that will start occurring soon, but it could also go in conjunction with that as well. My proposal to this, and if you guys don't like this idea, that's fine. And we did this during this process. Once again, Lanny might remember. I would like to get as many stakeholders involved in this as possible. So, we could obviously through our site councils or even maybe expand that to more of a parent outreach. But as far as our staff, I would like, and I know in talking to actually Kendall was here earlier, she mentioned this, and she remembers this. When we were going through this process, we actually had board meetings at the buildings. And so we conducted everything we're doing tonight, the consent, the discussion, the action. But during that time, we broke into 7 groups. And so my vision of this would be when we get to this in the gym, so say we're at Rockville at Janelle's building, so we'd probably be in the commons, then each of you would go to an area in the commons. And if just a simple math, say there's 21 staff members there, and they could be hourly staff members, they can be certified teachers, whoever. You would each have 3 at your table, and you would ask them about, and start at the top. Do you like our mission statement? Anything change? Vision, our core beliefs, and then you go goal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're taking notes of that, and then at the end, you guys come back to the table. So we're at Rockville, we're probably up on the stage. And then each of you share. Jennifer says, in my group, this is what was discussed. We'd have note takers. And so we begin that process. And maybe most of this is going to be okay. I don't know. Obviously, we have it up here. But if we need to change this, that's our 5 goals over there. This is the top things you see on there as well. But this is why you don't do this all the time, because it does take time and it should take time. Because this is very important. This is what we should be doing all the time. It's when you guys come in here monthly. It's what I should be living and breathing with our staff every day. And then, so if we did that in February, then in March, and probably we could combine Rockville and Circle Grove. So say if February's that meeting, then we meet at Broadmoor in March, middle school in April, high school in May. The only thing is obviously when we leave this location, we're not being able to live stream. But this room is kind of tough to have those meetings. I don't know where all 7 of you would go in here. But we can work on trying to get it live streamed. And this room obviously was professionally installed to do that. But and then after you would hear from everyone, site councils, or maybe we survey families as well, bring that all together. And I really don't have it says Vision 2025, which you could argue we have all this year to do this. I mean, it's 2025 till December, but probably by this year, next year, we need to have rebranded a strategic plan, whether, like I said, it has a name, whether it even looks like this. Obviously, our calendar looks much different. So I had a good suggestion last year, and we had the same calendar for many years. Now our calendar looks different. So it might not even look like this. But we would still need the same components of a mission statement, a vision, a core beliefs, goals, and then targeted areas. But I think it's important, no different than when our principals and you guys are leading those needs assessments. You are sharing, all right, guys, around the table, what went well with our needs assessment? So that'd be no different. All right, here's the target areas. Are we hitting these? And then looking at next year's needs assessment, you're saying, what should we look at changing or improving? And so target area number one, provide a relevant, rigorous, and aligned curriculum. Staff, are we doing that? Parents, are we doing that? If we are, and we think it's important, probably need to keep it on there. If we're not, how do we get to that goal? Are there others? As I quickly look through, I guess Lanny, you and I did a good job, because I think they're important. I mean, number one on personnel, fund competitive salaries and benefits for all staff. I don't think anyone wants to remove that one. We have our building facilities and operations, we engage the community, so we have LRCs in our buildings all the time, Supreme Court, you name it, and we value that. So that's just a suggestion. If the board wants to, one thing we do have to, or we should update this. The easiest would be you just change vision 2025 to take it off or say something 2030. I would not suggest it. I think we need to be committed to doing something more. I've kind of went the slower process involving more stakeholders, but it's been 7 years, and so you can make a 10-year strategic plan too. But just my thoughts. I'll open it up to you guys.
I do remember that the mission statement, vision statement was very lengthy before. When we took some time, once we got down to these simple statements, it made a little more sense. It was more direct instead of just a lot of lingo in there at times.
Question. We should be able to live stream in the middle school and the high school pretty easily, though, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and we can work with
If we did it in the auditoriums.
but then where would you go in the auditorium? I mean, commons areas are just more conducive to tables. It'd be great.
Right, but I mean, you're not gonna be able to live stream the small group sessions
So
anyway.
then you just go out in the
Yeah.
commons.
Yeah,
And so maybe we just pick one of those buildings. I mean, we've done building tours, so it's not that, so maybe we just say it's at the high school or middle school.
and do each one of them at the
And
high
so
school.
Rockville and Circle Grove's meeting is still at the middle school, and then you can use the commons or the high school.
Right.
We've been in the buildings even recently.
And we'll probably do it again this year.
Yeah.
Soon.
So, no, that's fine. And then it's just set up one time. Yeah, we live stream, graduation and some other, of course, we have Huddle and, so we're able to, do that as well. So that'd be fine. I didn't even think about that. But I do think it's important. Yeah, when you're breaking off, it would still be streaming, but it would be, it would be as formal setting at that time.
I think it would be good, and you mentioned this, doing this in our site councils. I think this would be a really good exercise to do in our site councils,
Yes.
if we couldn't get them to come. I mean, I guess, could you merge them with the, when you did like the buildings, or?
With the staff.
Yeah, last time we did it, and it's up to you guys, so would you welcome patrons that attend those to jump into a group? Last time, it was just staff, whether it was hourly or certified. I mean, I'm not opposed either, but if 10 people show up at Rockville and Circle Grove's meeting at the middle school, are they gonna be invited to disperse, or do they need to work for us, or obviously payroll as a special rate co-op? I'm indifferent. I know last time it was that way.
I mean, I don't have any problem with, if
As
the
long
public wants to engage in those small groups, so be it. I mean, I think it'd be great.
I agree, as long as we can accommodate, I mean, if some of them don't have 200 people.
Right.
participating in
And
it, yeah.
disclaimer on the agenda that
Yeah, we may have to limit it if
we
necessary.
can't have 50 people in each group, right? That's what they were saying.
Yeah, I mean, because we couldn't accomplish anything
Yeah.
if we have 50 people
Yeah.
in a group.
No,
They'll
I
see
think
me
you
there.
would.
That was
A
horrible.
lottery, yeah.
And you see it as, pretty much start top to bottom, because I can write up a guide for you.
Yeah, I
So we
think
can
that's
start from that. And,
Yeah.
and the goal would be sometime in the fall semester that we would approve this and obviously decide what's it called, if it has a name, what's the timestamp on it? 7 years ago, it was timestamped, and here we are. I do think it's carried us well the last 7 years, and honestly, it will carry us into the future, but times have changed, and if it's a lot of changes, we'll make those, but I think it's important. Well, we'll do that, we'll,
So would we plan on starting that next,
yeah, in February, March, so we'll do Circle Grove and Rockville.
so would we do that at the middle school?
Middle school or high school, one of the, let me check with activities and, thing with that, with the middle school, Mrs. Moore has such a great choir program, her classroom is the stage, not that we can't do
Right.
those once a month,
It may be just easier just to do them all at the high school,
Yeah.
and that would be less confusing too.
yeah, so, but let me check on that, but either the middle school or high school, and so and this would be, I would believe it would be a discussion item. So, we start the meeting consent, have so probably be like the last discussion item, or it could be the first one if we want staff and patrons to be able to go home. That we're here just for that, so probably the first discussion item, and then we'd have our other ones
Yeah,
like we did.
because we're gonna be getting into budget stuff too.
As I say, we'll have to
We're gonna
maybe
have some
put a
lengthy
limit
meetings.
on how long we do, I mean, because
Yeah.
that could
Yeah.
go for a long time. Maybe it's
Allow just so much time.
30, I don't know.
And
it's
if
a
you
30
feel like
minute
the
discussion
share
or
out
not.
afterwards isn't, I mean, that would take, so go out and have your group and then you just share that all with me, or do you feel like when you come back and proceed it, that we go around and you?
I think we kind of need to, don't you?
When it's
For the-
fresh.
The viewers, for our viewers.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, for transparency.
Yeah.
sake, I think.
Yeah, we'll do like a 30-minute breakout session or whatever.
okay. I can work on that.
And, for our site council, could we get
Or are we gonna
can we get a
combine?
copy of that? just
Well,
in
I
case
think the site council would be a great starting point.
Yeah, 'cause I think we got one in February.
Well, I was just thinking, do you do the site council separately, or do you ask the site
Oh.
council to come? Does the Rockville site council come to the Rockville
Well,
one?
I think that would be great. if-
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I think that,
Do it that way.
I mean, I don't.
Because the
like to
two
do
site
wrong,
councils you have left, I mean, there's gonna be many things on there, but one big thing is reviewing this year's needs assessment, and especially in that April, May one, talking about next month's, or next budget years. So, yeah, I think that would be, so, just making sure our building principals invite their site council, so like in February, Rockville's comes to the board meeting, Cindy's comes in March.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know, that might, I
Okay,
don't know. And the more people you have in those kind of group think situations, I think it get better
That's the
stuff.
first.
Yeah,
So we're gonna do this inside of a regular board meeting.
that would be the plan, but
with a time limit on it.
well, historically, February, March, don't have as much on the agenda. April will, it's where our handbooks are. What I'm gonna tell the principals tomorrow, what I'd like on that, very similar to what we're doing now. Sometimes with the handbooks, they present them to you and they ask for action. I'd like, they're gonna present, they're just hearing this tonight, but they'll hear it tomorrow morning. But in March, provide you some handbook suggestions, because you guys know how sometimes you share those and even emotion is like proving that with what was, and that can get a little gray. So I think it'd be nicer if you hear their proposals in March, they hear your recommendations, and then in April, they approve those. But yeah, I don't know. I know it could lengthen, but then we're having 4 other board meetings. Or, I mean, that was just a suggestion. If you have another idea, or for the board, you could say, we like it, let's leave it.
Well, I mean, I think doing it like that, it hits on the community piece of
Absolutely.
that pretty well. So,
I mean, I like having it the night of the board meeting
yeah, I wouldn't
because,
be in favor of
that's-
having additional
right,
meetings.
because then the community knows when it is, and if they want to come and they want to or they want to participate, then they can. You start having it on a different night, and it starts getting confusing, and so, I mean.
Maybe that,
If we add 30 minutes onto a 3-hour meeting, is it really that much,
we'll invite all the patrons, any patrons to come that
Well,
want
they
to.
would, as always, like tonight. Yeah.
I know, would that be something that needed to go like in the newsletter, like, hey, the board's having this
Okay.
rock, I mean,
We can do that, then we'll say the Friday or the couple Sundays before Janelle can start putting that in there. Definitely the Sunday before the Monday board meeting.
great.
Okay, moving on to action items. 5.1, approve the 25-26 course proposals.
Okay, Mrs. Hankins and Dr. Van Reen shared these last time, tonight, they're supervising ball games, and so just as review, and Jenny still put them in tonight's packet. The only one at the middle school, really is not a course proposal, but that was to add a middle school scholars bowl. The high school, it was to add applied math, it's really a third math course that's required, but for just some of our students that, when you're starting to take a third math class, some that comes easy, and some of our kids take 4 math classes. But for some students to take a third high school math class, it can be a challenge, and that's a requirement by you as a board, and that's required by the State Board of Education. And so it's more of an applied math that will allow them to get their third math credit for some students. And the others Dr. Van Reen shared were workplace experience and industry internships. I know that's probably been a long time coming, to tell you the truth, as you guys hear from community members, I know I do. They're open to that, getting our kids out, working at Elliott Insurance or wherever. And so that, I applaud the high school of looking at that. So really it's field-based, work-based industry internships throughout the community. And without them here, I don't know if they'll even venture up north. A lot of our parents work in Johnson County, so potentially do they even go up there? I don't know those, but, so those were the courses you were looking at approving.
I really like the applied math. I
Me
mean,
too.
I took I am a product of applied math in high school. And I mean, it honestly though, I mean, there's so much to it that's just real life based math instead of
Yes.
algebra or geometry.
So they'll still take Algebra 1 and geometry, but then they don't have, if they take this instead of that next advance, whether it's Algebra 2 or you're getting obviously stats and calc and all those.
Never needed it.
I use algebra.
The number's missing, I'm not gonna miss.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the 2025, 2026 school course proposals as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2025-2026 school course proposals as presented. Is there any further discussion?
But
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
and Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, and then we have 5.2 that we're adding here, and this will be the motion to approve scenario 3 for the the school board boundaries. So do we have a motion for that,
I move to approve
scenario 3?
scenario 3, school board boundaries.
Do I need to have a motion to add that to the agenda?
Do we need to,
Technically, yes, because you didn't.
okay, well, let's do that first. So I move to add 5.2, the approval of scenario 3 for school board boundaries to the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to add 5.2, adopting scenario 3 as the bound, or for the school board boundaries. Is there any further discussion?
But
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
and Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Now you can.
Okay, now, make a motion.
I move to approve scenario 3 of the school board boundaries.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve scenario 3, the school board boundaries. Is there any further discussion?
I guess my question would be, no other action needs to be taken. This will be a final vote to adopt this, and we'll proceed getting that to the county clerk, and so we'll be in time for the
That's why
next
we're doing
school
that.
board election.
getting it done tonight, so Dr. Bierman has time to get this done.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it needs to be done before,
Well, probably because, I mean, when our applications open now,
June, I don't
They're
know, that's the.
closed.
that's the
June.
deadline.
I don't
I think
know.
it
June
starts,
first is deadline.
I think it opens in March sometime.
okay, so
So
yeah.
yeah, the first step tomorrow, I'll be going to RSP, and they'll write the legal descriptions, they'll send those to me, and then I will send those over to our Newton County clerks. Or, I mean, and walk, I mean, maybe I even have to send something to, the state, I don't know, but, I will work with who I need to on getting those in as soon as possible. Yeah, we definitely don't wanna miss any of those deadlines.
Well, we need to get that on our consolidated passes. What, get the new map on the website as well, so.
Right.
Okay,
But
Yes.
Apple,
yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
and Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, yeah, let's go 45.
Okay.
I move that we go into executive session with the superintendent to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8, let's just say 8:20.
I'll second it.
So moved and seconded to go into executive session. Is there any further discussion?
But
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
and Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Take a lemon bar.
No Dave Candy tonight.
Thanks, chocolate.
Yeah,
I move we go back into executive session with the superintendent to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:40.
I second it.
We moved and seconded to go back into executive session. Is there any further discussion?
Good.
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Judaville,
Yes.
and Tisdall.
Yes.
Goodman.
What the hell did I do with that relationship? Brian?
He trusted.
Did you look under his papers?
I know what it said. That's true. I move we go back into executive session with the superintendent to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under coma to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 9:05.
I second it.
So moved and seconded to go back into executive session. Is there any further discussion?
Foot,
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose,
Yeah.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman. Yes. Motion passed.
Let's pull it. we're gonna go back into executive session with the superintendent to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under coma to protect the privacy interest of an identifiable individual, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 9:30.
I second it.
It's moved and seconded to go back into executive session. Any further discussion?
But
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose.
Yep.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
Yes.
Tisdale,
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Announcements. The next regular board meeting will be February 10th, 2025 at 5:30 PM at a place to be determined. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move, we adjourn the board meeting at 9:32 PM.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the January 13th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting at 9:32 PM. Is there any further discussion?
Foot,
Yes.
Apple,
Yes.
Bose.
Yep.
Smith,
Yes.
Studeville,
All right.
and Tisdale.
Yes.
Goodman.
Have a good
Yes.
night.
Thank you.
Hey, how old are you guys?